of Enzymedica, and I could not be more excited today to be talking to you on a Earth Day. And one of the things that's part of our core program at Enzymedica is called Enzymedica for People and Planet, and that's a primary mission of the company is to not only bring to you the world's finest supplement products, but also we're very, very big at giving back to the planet. And we are a certified carbon neutral company. If you could see our corporate headquarters, we've got a solar farm on top of our building, and we are carbon neutral certified. So, you know, Earth Day is one day of the year to really celebrate, but I can tell you that Enzymedica, we do celebrate it each and every day. And so today, one of our missions has been a project that we've been working on for some time, and it involves the reefs in the ocean. And I've been tracking a lot of the challenges with ocean reefs over the years, and you know, we talk a lot about coronavirus and what's happening worldwide with the epidemic. And what we don't know is that there is a epidemic that's been happening underneath the sea for many, many years. In fact, over the last 30 years, I'm very sad to say that over 50% of the world's reef system has been lost. So this epidemic has been a long-term battle, and we really, to this point, haven't had too many heroes to help save them. And I learned of Mote Marine several years ago, and they have been pioneering reef restoration, and I believe one of the best on the planet for this. And so with that, I'd like to introduce a very special guest today from Mote Marine Laboratories Keys facility. And her name is Sarah Hamlyn, who is a staff biologist at Mote's Elizabeth Moore International Center for Coral Reef Research and Restoration in Summerland Key. And she's been one of the key scientists that Enzymedica, along with many others there, we've been partnering with on our AquaBiome product line. It's a product line of the purest fish oil on the planet. And with that, what we have committed with our AquaBiome line is that for every bottle we sell, we make a direct investment / donation into Sarah and her team at Mote Marine. And so with that, I'd like to, Sarah, would you mind introducing yourself and just sharing a little bit with the audience who you are and what your mission is?
Sure, absolutely. So thanks, Scott. As Scott said, my name is Sarah Hamlyn. I am from Mote Marine Labs, so I'm down on Summerland Key in our International Centre for Coral Reef Research and Restoration. And we're a science-based restoration facility down here. So we grow a lot of coral on land and out in the field. And we take that coral and actually put it out on the reef in reskinning or restoration efforts. So as Scott was saying, the reefs are suffering worldwide, and particularly in the Florida Reef Tract, some of our reefs are down between 2 and 6% live coral cover, and that's a really scary prospect for us. And I think it's why we've got this partnership with Enzymedica, because you guys are very passionate about the reefs and about making positive change as well in people's lives. And this is really important for the Florida Reef Tract and for the community as well.
And so hearing about the reefs and let's just call it for what it is, a epidemic under the sea that's been occurring. But what's causing the trouble? What has changed? I mean, reefs have been around ever since the Earth has had water, right? And hearing that over the last 30 years, over 50% are now gone. That's a very alarming figure. And so help us understand what is causing this? What is speeding up the challenge?
Sure, you hit the nail on the head, Scott, saying it's an alarming thing, because it really is. Reefs are critical to our lives and our livelihood. And there's a lot of stresses that are going on. There's some anthropogenic stresses. So as we put more carbon into the atmosphere, the oceans act like a sink for that. And essentially that's changing the pH of the ocean. So we're suffering, and we're looking at in future suffering from a increase in the pH of the oceans, which can stress out, bleach, and potentially kill corals. We're also looking at increased temperature. So as sea surface temperatures increase, corals have a symbiotic algae, or they have an algae that lives inside of them and provides them with a lot of their nutrition. And when they're stressed through, maybe it's that sea surface temperature, maybe it's ocean acidification, maybe it's pollution, they actually spit that algae out, they expel it. And that means they're not getting their nutrition anymore. Now, they're still alive at this point, and they can last for a short period of time without their symbionts inside them. But if we don't address those stresses straight away, or the sea surface temperature doesn't go back to a normal temperature, those corals can actually die. So we've got pollution, we've got warming waters, we've got more acidified waters, and there's also a really interesting and pretty detrimental coral disease that's going through the stony corals in the Florida Reef Tract as well at the moment, that Mote and a lot of other partners are doing research on to try and establish what caused it and how we can combat it. And Mote does a lot of research as well on the corals that we put back out on the reef to ensure that we're working towards creating populations that can withstand these stresses that they're looking at undergoing now and into the future.
You know, from a layman's perspective, when I first got acclimated on the issue of the pH change, I think about in my childhood, you know, when you have one of those betta fish and you change the water, and you know, if you forget to put in the pH drops, I think a lot of the audience has experienced that you see that the fish, you know, has a immediate reaction, and if you don't adjust that a pH, that fish isn't going to last very long. I mean, so, you know, really that's been a key factor that I think that our audience can relate to is that, you know, when that pH changes, it doesn't take much to impact the delicate ecosystem underneath the sea. So can you share with us, you know, hearing that, you know, walk our audience through what is Mote and you and your team doing, you know, to help save our reefs and turn the tide back around?
Yeah, absolutely. So since Mote started outplanting coral, we've actually outplanted 80,000 fragments of coral back out onto the reef. So that's a combination of coral that's around 7 centimeters square plugs, or fragments of coral of a different species that look like this. So we've outplanted since our inception of restoration around 80,000 fragments, but we also have a large land-based facility. And on this land-based facility, we have somewhere in the vicinity of 80 raceways. And those raceways, like the ones you can see behind me, house up to 1,000 coral each. So at any given time, we might have 30 to 40,000 coral on site at Mote Marine Lab. And not only are we putting those corals out into the field, but we're also running tests on them. So we're testing them, as I said before, against future conditions of temperature, pH. You know, we're looking at disease resistance and resilience as well.
Wow, thank you for that. And you know, I go back to when I first heard of your program, and you know, at the time we were developing a line of highly purified fish oil products that are currently being marketed under the brand called Aquabiome. I've got a sample of it here in case if the audience hasn't seen it, and you can find the Aquabiome products are sold throughout the U.S. and actually in many countries around the world. And one of the core things that we've done with Aquabiome, in fact, you can see it on the poster behind me. It's called "Buy a Bottle, Save a Reef," and that's one of the ways that our audience can also help participate in you and your mission and this challenge under the sea, is that every time our audience purchases one of the Aquabiome products, you help us make a direct investment into Sarah. To date, we've donated just over the last year $100,000 to your program. And can you share a little bit, Sarah, what that's meant to you with that investment, what you've been able to do?
Yeah, it's been a huge a fantastic partnership with Enzymedica and Mote. So we're really appreciative of it. With the money that you've been able to provide to us, we've actually selected a site, an offshore site. It's a really important site in the lower Florida Keys. That's not only it's near our lab, but it's also a site that's frequented by a lot of visitors. And this site, our Enzymedica site, what we've done is we've staked out a 10 metre by 10 metre square, and we're restoring that square. So our aim is to get back to greater than 25% coral cover. And remember before I said some reefs, most reefs in Florida, in the lower Florida Keys, have between 2 and 6% coral cover. So we're working really hard to work with Enzymedica to grow these corals and outplant the corals. So in December, January, we actually went out to this site. We picked it, we made sure it was perfect, met all our needs for what we needed in a site. And we outplanted our first lot of coral there. So that was 105 of our stony coral species, so mountainous star coral, knobby grain coral, and greater star coral. And we also outplanted 600 staghorn. So they're our branching coral that you see. We went back a month later and we checked on them to ensure their survival. And we're looking at, for the staghorn, we're getting 95% coral survival at month 1. And when I say 95%, that's huge. Those losses that we suffered were not from anything untoward. They just didn't attach to the reef properly, which is quite a normal part of the outplanting process. And of the stony coral species that we outplanted, we had 100% survival at 1 month, and the coral's looking really healthy and really good. So you can see on the slide here, what we do with our boulder corals is we actually find an old dead coral head. So this coral head's been dead for some time. We scrub it clean of any algae that are growing on there, and we use an underwater drill to drill some small holes in there. And we actually adhere these plugs via their post into the reef, as you can see in the picture, in groups of corals that come from the same parent. So we cut them up in the lab, we grew them out, they all come from the same parent, and over time those corals will fuse together, and in about 2 years they'll be, dinner plate size, and that's about spawning size as well. So not only are we restoring this reef, but we're creating a seed reef. So if these start spawning, they can seed all the reefs around it, and we'll get new baby corals on those reefs.
Wow, it's so impressive to see that. I mean, just help the audience understand the reef that it's replacing. I mean, I know you don't know the exact age, but just help everyone understand how old that the reefs were and how many years they were there. And because I do think that puts it into a perspective. You don't just grow reefs overnight. They've been grown over probably decades upon decades, correct?
Absolutely. So that coral head you're looking at there, that would be hundreds of years old. So the outplants that you can see for, I guess, scale size are around 3 centimeters diameter. And it takes us, of that species there, it takes us 13 months to grow that particular species in the lab to 3 centimeters square. And then when they fuse together, because they're with their parent colony, that might take another 2 years before it's around that dinner plate size. So we're looking at, let's say, around 3 years to reach that size. In the wild, that size coral might take 40, 50 years to get that big if it survives out there. So a coral head that we're reskinning here, that's hundreds of years old, that coral that has been lost. It's
unbelievable. It's sad, but at the same time, it's exciting, just to be a part of something that is, replacing what the world has valued for so many years, especially when you consider that, reefs represent, approximately 50% of the oxygen produced on the planet. And when you've got so many reefs that have perished over the last 30 years, there's so much urgency when you think about we're doing this replantation process or restoration process, not just for today, but it's going to be many, many generations to come that'll be benefiting from your work that you're doing for us.
Absolutely. This kind of project brings, I guess, a lot of hope to the community. So the Florida Reef Tract, and the services it provides actually employs about 70,000 people. It's worth, I think, somewhere in the vicinity of $6 billion to our community. So not only does it bring hope to bring that healthy reef system back, but a lot of people are so reliant on it. You know, coral reefs provide a lot of the Earth's oxygen as well, through the animals and the phytoplankton that they support. It provides us with food, so we fish off those reefs, and you know, it provides us enjoyment as well. I know you said yourself that you get out and snorkel sometimes, and it's a much more enjoyable place to be able to snorkel a beautiful coral reef full of all the other life that attracts than a bare sandy bottom.
Absolutely, without a question. And Sarah, you know, you've got a little bit of a show and tell you're gonna do there, and I'm super excited because it really shows kind of what you're doing each and every day. Would you mind, you know, showing the audience a little bit more about what you do?
So first off, what I can show you here is a tank that we've got inside. So we do have a lot of tanks outside, and this is basically where we house a lot of our coral before we fragment it. So the process of fragging or micro-fragging coral is when we essentially run it through a bandsaw and cut off small pieces about 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre, and that supercharges its growth. It grows a lot faster. So I have some examples of some new fragments that we've made in this tank here. So these are brand new coral babies. And this species here takes about 5 months to grow to a full plug, so it's a little bit of a faster grower. So in about 5 months, we'll be going out to the reef and we'll be putting these ones out there as well. And the final thing I'd love to show you is not only do we have the land-based nursery where we've got around 80 of these raceways, both inside and outside growing coral, but we have 2 field nurseries as well. We've got one just off our lab at Lukey, and we've got one down in Key West off a place called Sand Key. And this is a small, not to scale size of the coral trees that we have out there. But we've got dozens and dozens and dozens of these trees in each of our nurseries. And this is where we grow our branching coral. So that grows out in the field. It grows really fast out there. And what we do is we take our boats out and we snip off pieces about this size, and that's what we attach to the reef. So there's 2 different types of processes that we do. And just the last thing I'll show you as well is an example of what a fusing or a skinned coral looks like. So each one of these was a baby coral that started growing out, and you can see they started fusing together because they come from the same parent, they recognize each other, and started joining up. Unfortunately, we lost this coral was a live coral until Hurricane Irma, and we did lose it during Hurricane Irma, but it becomes a really good educational tool now. And we're going out there and trying to replicate this, and we are replicating this out at our Enzymedica site and at other sites throughout the Florida Keys.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's so impressive to see that, and I'm so happy that the audience can see your work and at the same time hear the passion that you represent with this. And you know, on this day of celebrating Earth Day, you know, when I kind of hear this, what you're doing, and you know, from our earlier discussion. I see this as a legacy project, and for those of you in the audience, you know, one of the ways you can participate with this is, you know, going out to a Sprouts, a Whole Foods, or a lot of the independent health food stores where Aquabiome is currently being sold. Simply by buying a bottle of any of the Aquabiome products will directly lead into an investment in Sarah and the Mote Reef Restoration Program. With that, you know, they are being challenged like everyone else. They've got a aquarium that is open to the public, and during the coronavirus, unfortunately, those doors are not open, and they are currently losing revenue because of that. And a lot of that revenue goes to really supporting the science and the programs like Sarah's. And on April 28th and 29th is really a special fundraiser for Mote Marine. What's happening is that you can go to mote.org mote.org/give3x. That's mote.org/give3x. And on April 28th and 29th from noon to noon on the 29th, and anything you would be willing to donate and help out Sarah and her team, it'll be matched in equal amounts. So please note that, and please help them out, because we're all here living on this earth, enjoying it. We're breathing the oxygen. We go on vacation. We snorkel out to these reefs. It's very important that the next generation also benefits from this. And by simply making a purchase with AquaBiome, you're going to benefit your body, and you're also going to be leaving a lasting legacy that will be in the ocean for many generations to come, for your children and your great grandchildren. Also, if you would like to learn more about the AquaBiome products, you can visit aqua/biome.com, and you can learn some more background on what makes AquaBiome unique. So with that, Sarah, anything else you would like to share with the audience before signing off?
No, I guess I just want to say to everybody, happy Earth Day. Get out there at a social distance and enjoy what we have in this planet. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you Enzymedica and Scott as well for supporting everything that Mote Marine Lab does. Every day is our Earth Day here, so thank you very much.
Thank you, and we often talk about a heroes right now with the coronavirus, and you're also a hero, you and your team, with what you're doing to help refurbish the reef system. So thank you on Earth Day, and you are a hero each and every day. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today, and please consider Mote Marine. Anything you can do to help out them would be something that they would greatly appreciate, and check out AquaBiome. So happy Earth Day, everyone.
Happy Earth Day.